Well, we talked a lot about player housing just now, went on a complete rant, but there's so much more coming in 11.1. The hype is real. War Within patch 11.1 announcement, a ton of things coming, a new raid, a new instance, Undermined, completely new city. This thing looks massive. It looks like on a scale of Suramar. New racing with vehicles. So much to talk about. Marcellian here put together a nice summary. Let's check this thing out and see everything that is coming in 11.1.
This is bonkers. Warcraft Direct just finished and they announced the 11.1 patch with the new dungeon, new zone, new raid, new season 2 dungeon pool, and
I love the
one of
goblin
the most
aesthetic.
awaited changes in WoW that people have been asking
By the way, this cinematic, this one more thing moment, like an Apple-esque, oh, we got one more thing. I'm not going to lie. They dropped a fucking mic on this one. It was really cool.
for years, and we're gonna cover all of them in this video because it is a good time to be a WoW player.
Sure
to get
is.
it out of the way first, 1107 has an announcement date, which is December the 17th, aka next month, when the patch is going to launch.
Yep.
With the Siren Isle and all the cool little activities that we're gonna be doing then. You will know already about this, and I just want to go to the next topic, okay? But we do have a roadmap for the entire year, which we're going to put up on the screen throughout this video, so don't fret. But following this, we will most likely have the PTR
What's
for
up, Saint Rado? Thanks, man.
which is Undermined or in the Undermined. We go into the Undermined, which Marcellian and I have incorrectly...
Saint Rado, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the bits. I really do appreciate that. That was a big bit drop that you had there. Thank you. And to everybody else who's been tuning in from YouTube today.
Another Death Knight.
Madi, thank you for the sub. Thank you so much, Death Knight of our Scourge. Yeah, for everybody who's been tuning in today from YouTube, thanks. I feel the love. You guys are awesome. And of course, all my usual Twitchers out there. You guys are great too. Degenerates, but great.
Foreshadowed that we're definitely not gonna go there because it has nothing to do with Xal'atath. But Ian Hazakostas has 100% assured us that there is a connection between the Undermine and Xal'atath. We just don't know what it is yet,
looks
but
so
that's
cool.
fine. That aside, we're going into the Goblin meta,
Stratocaster.
where you will basically play
Got it.
alongside the cartels. Now, I don't know exactly in what role these cartels will play. All of the Bilgewater, the Venture Co., the Steam Weedle, all of the Goblin cartels are going to be present there, and we're going to probably interact with them somehow. Because, of course, you cannot have a Goblin patch without Gallywix being the...
Oh, yeah, there he is. He's the end boss, which is really cool. Now, these cartels that he was talking about, Blizzard said in the event that you're going to choose one, which is interesting to me because if they're just reputation grinds, you're going to get reputation for all of them. But I think maybe that player choice is going to have something to do with some transmog you can get. Like I said, when they first said it, it did remind me of the Shadowlands mechanic, where you chose a covenant to be part of and all that stuff. I don't think they're going to go that deep into it because that was highly unsuccessful in the fact that people had to choose the freaking covenant that gave them the best abilities. There's not going to be abilities attached. I'm assuming this is going to be all like transmog related stuff. But choosing a cartel, I wonder what that's going to be all about.
Probably interact with them somehow. Because, of course, you cannot have a Goblin patch without Gallywix being the boss of the new raid, which is the Liberation.
This looks awesome. This freaking looks awesome. I'm so excited to go in here because, like I said, I feel like every raid we've gotten recently, going back through Dragonflight, has been very dark and cavey and undergroundy and all this stuff. And now we're getting like complete. We're going into a casino. Like, yes, Undermine is underground, but this looks like so well. Like the aesthetic for goblins is totally there, and it's just so over the top, so freaking hilarious. I actually can't wait to go in this raid.
Of Undermine.
This looks like Warcraft. It does.
Because in terms of a raid, this is an 8-boss raid with Gallywix being the last one. Liberation of Undermine kind of gives us a vibe of Suramar type-ish. Undermine is probably
Undermine looks like Suramar
Tyrant
size
Fist of Gallywix and or of the Goblin cartels as well, or they might just be our new little factions that we have there. We don't know. We'll see how this will all play out. This is just fresh. We just had away from the WoW Direct and Warcraft Direct, and we're kind of getting our toes dipped into this. But it's a refreshing change of pace, being a kind of different vibe with the Undermine, with all of the tech, all of the bombs, all of the goblin shenanigans.
That's why I'm excited for it. It does. Guys, kicking off the hype train. Jesus. Holy crap. A-Town, thank you so much, man, for the prime sub. You just kicked off that hype train for me. Thank you, thank you. Death Knight of our Scourge. And I was saying, the reason why I'm so excited about this entire patch is it just feels different than everything we've seen so far. The Goblin aesthetic is so unique. It's so goblin-y. and they've totally gone all in with it. Like you can see everything from the buildings to the trash to the technology everywhere. It just looks really cool. I'm excited to see it, hear the music and everything else that's probably going to come with it. I'm not a goblin enjoyer, never made a goblin, but always thought their aesthetic was pretty cool.
Against it's something that we haven't had probably since BFA, and we're gonna get to that in a second, and it's something that has been hinted at, kind of leaked and spoiled a while ago. This will also come with a new dungeon, which is the Operation Floodgate, and it's going to be immediately part of the Season 2 dungeon
True
pool
voice.
with Heroic, Mythic, and Mythic Plus, of course. And we don't know too much about the dungeon just yet. I assume we'll probably know more in the weeks to come, possibly after the PTR version of 11.1 will be released and put for player testing. What we know is that the Season 2 will, of course, bring the 4 other dungeons that we have in the War Within, and 3 new legacy
We have a realm to destroy.
A-Town, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge.
dungeons alongside.
I might have to
this
start
new
muting these
Operation
alerts. You're getting
Floodgate,
so
which
many.
Normally,
You guys
on
are
the
awesome.
0.1 patches, if I'm not mistaken, there used to be like a mega dungeon, or at least in the 0.5 patches of the 0.1 patches, used to be like a mega dungeon. But it's just gonna be a regular dungeon, and of course, one of the kind of obvious dungeon that we're gonna have in the season pool will be Mother Lode as part of the old legacy dungeons, and we will have 2 more.
It's a good addition.
Which will likely kind of have to be tied into the goblin theme. Now, I don't know what.
Yeah, I was very happy to see that Mother Lode's coming back, because it does fit the theme. And I'm extremely happy to see that the new, whatever it was called, Gateway, Water, whatever it was, the new dungeon they're adding is part of the Mythic Plus rotation. Because Blizzard's made the mistake before of introducing a new dungeon, not making it part of the Mythic Plus rotation, so it quickly becomes irrelevant. You run it just to see it, and then it's irrelevant because you're not getting gear from it. And that's what matters most, is people want gear. So making it part of the Mythic Plus rotation, it'll also be available in normal and heroic for anyone who's not doing Mythic Plus, I think was a great idea from Blizzard and an improvement on anything they've done previously with new dungeons.
Those 2 could be. They could be pretty much anything, or they could just be like random other stuff that might just make sense to be in a War Within expansion. Marcelian and I kind of predicted that the 11.1 patch will be more Arathi themed, considering that one of the biggest dungeons that we have left that we haven't actually explored enough was the Priority of the Sacred Flame, which is obviously not happening. But
they'll come back, the
other
Arathi
2 dungeons are likely just going to be just some random legacy dungeons. We will see in the coming weeks what they will entail. In terms of the new content as well, we're gonna have 2 new.
What is this from? Did I miss this, or are they showing some kind of cinematic here that hasn't been shown in game yet? I saw this yesterday and I was like, what is this? I haven't seen this. Did I miss a piece of the story in the game or something, or is this something that we're gonna see? Because this is interesting. I mean, she's clearly like communing with the world soul here. And the Horonir, we haven't heard a lot about them. They've just been Horoneering around. What's going on? What is this?
The new content as well, we're gonna have 2 new delves and a bunch of new variations to the existing delves. Variations probably refer to how you can sometimes start in different points of the delves and have different types of events throughout the delves. We'll likely just have more types of events throughout.
Yeah, I know who she is. I just don't remember seeing that cinematic. Holy crap. Holy crap. The 1,000... Jesus. Strat, thank you so much. That's 2,000 bits today. Damn. Thank you.
Out the delves, and since they mentioned that
11.2,
obviously
no new
we kind
zone.
of dealt with Zekvir,
We don't know anything about 11.2 yet. This is all about 11.1. They haven't revealed shit about 11.2 other than it's on the roadmap.
the new kind of main delve antagonist is going to be present and probably featured in these 2 new variations, giving delves even more variety, flexibility, replayability if you wanna go there, and of course new rewards and things like that.
Another death
Saint
knight.
Rado, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm gonna mute alerts for a second here because we are getting so many now. Thank you so much. I appreciate
I
it.
don't know the full details just yet, but for delve lovers, this sounds pretty cool. Definitely more reasons to go into delves. And as we kind of expected, the whole system of delves will constantly and gradually be upgraded throughout the expansion into what it will probably be eventually in 11.3, I want to say. We haven't had a 0.3 patch in a very long time.
No, we haven't.
0.2, 0.7. Who knows how long the War Within will continue. And if the system is successful, I expect it to be fully expanded upon in the next coming expansions. I guess that's still up for grabs. We don't know exactly what it is. But one of the most exciting things that has been announced that's giving us a lot of goosebumps
is really cool.
is the new mounting system, which starts with a new trike car. Little cool funky, cartoony 1920s gangster.
Wait, so we get this
little
first?
car for
So they're going to give us a little tricycle before we get the big boy car? Is that how they're going to do it? That's pretty freaking funny. I want the big boy car, and they even said you can customize the statistics on it, like its drift ability or its acceleration. It's Mario Kart and WoW. We're finally getting it.
you know the theme of the goblins. What we know so far is that from what we've seen and what Ian has said is this is the skywriting of ground mounting. It's Need for Speed for actual ground mounts.
This
Of
looks
course,
awesome.
this is just going to be this one mount. I assume they're gonna take all of the dragon riding and skywriting customizations put into it, where we can make our own little wacky racing trike.
Is it only usable in Undermine? Well, I don't think so, because here they are showing this guy riding it around in, clearly he's in Dornagal. So, I mean, maybe that's just testing. From what I gathered, Buzzbarn, from what they said, is the roads in Undermine are paved for speed. Like, that was the line I believe they used. So I think the speed of that car will be the fastest in Undermine, and then and if you're riding in the vehicle outside of Undermine, it'll probably be like your typical epic ground mount speed. That's basically what I'm gathering from what they've said so far. I highly doubt it'll only be an Undermine mount, though. That'd be silly considering how much time we're going to put into customizing it and everything. But all the statistics and speed and the craziness of it will only be available to you when you're driving on the roads in Undermine.
That we're gonna use around the course. Ian has
You don't
hinted
have a
at some
license
of
to drive
the
this.
mechanics of the system where we can opt to have more speed. Obviously, we're gonna be way faster than a regular ground mount. We're going to put more into grip, more into drifting. Like, who knows? Like this, just the fact that we have a different way to engage with ground mounting. Obviously, faster is like one of the first things you'd probably do, but grip and drifting sounds interesting because
does sound interesting.
we had in the past drifting type mechanics when it comes to moving around the world. One good example comes to this with the Senarth boss in Vaults of the Incarnates, where the spider boss puts ice on the floor, and when you
She'd
move
pull
into a
you and
direction,
shit.
you start to build up momentum, and if you stop moving your character kind of still slides across the floor, right?
Yeah.
That happens, and I assume that's probably going to play a little bit into what drifting is. I think we have
Interesting.
something like this similar into Narrow Bar Palace, when you go after the first boss and you clear trash and the blobs or puddles of goo on the floor kind of make you like slide through them in a weird fashion way. I assume that's probably going to go into the drifting technology.
Yeah, slippery, slidey mechanics. Those have existed in WoW before. He's probably right. Those are probably what they're going to be using in the drift mechanics.
We can assume that that plays out into us moving alongside the roads of Undermine, and that's pretty cool. I don't know what that means. Do we just like, does it matter that we drift? Is it a thing? Will we have dragon races, but instead, you know, on the ground with the cars? That would be really cool. We don't know exactly if we're gonna have flying in Undermine. And if we don't have flying, this is the way you get people to be invested in travel and movement around the map. If you don't just introduce flying, and if they do that, I am all
Man, this
for
looks so
it.
good.
I have been an advocate of ground mounting throughout the expansions. I feel like they immerse you a little bit more into the world. You get
Make ground mounts great again. I've been saying this before. I thought that they should upgrade epic mounts kind of the same way that they did with dragon riding. I thought that they should take the racial mounts and put another level to them, right? Take them up in level, make them a little bit faster, make them more customizable. I've been saying that for a while, and basically we're kind of getting that with these new vehicles, so that's pretty cool.
to actually see the terrain, see the elevations, the buildings, the mountains, the forests, and all of that, as opposed to just flying over it. Although I still probably assume that at one point they might enable flying so that you can just, do your daily activities a little bit faster. But who knows? That has always been in the context of ground mounting being very slow. And not only will this not be slow, but it will also be very
dynamic,
engaging and very
basically,
fun from the
yeah.
looks of it. And not to tease you any longer, player housing has
Christ.
kind of been teased already. We will have
Look at this, man. Look at this. They got transmog on the walls. You got a target dummy. You got a little trophy here. What else could you... I mean, obviously, Anixia's head for, proving that you've killed a boss. This is so cool. The aesthetic here is awesome. I can't wait, man. I'm not even a player housing fanatic. I've never said I wanted player housing. But after seeing this version of it, I'm like, damn. This is pretty cool place to show off your achievements.
player housing, although this is so early that we don't know exactly in what context the player housing will release, because at the end of the Warcraft Direct, the player housing was just followed by World of Warcraft Midnight logo. So is this kind of hinted for Midnight, or is this...
I think, look, we looked at the, if I could pull it up again right now. We did look at the the timeline, right? And remember when I was saying earlier, I was like, oh, we got we got what's it called? War bands as a pre-patch event for the expansion of the War Within. This clearly is looking more and more like it's the player housing thing, and it seems like to me this would be the pre-patch for the Midnight expansion. And that's why I think that this is where it is. So it is going to be a midnight feature, but I think we're going to get player housing as a pre-patch feature, which would be pretty cool.
For midnight, or is this going to be still released within the context of the War Within? And if we look at the roadmap, which is something that's very enticing to look at the moment for a couple of reasons, we don't see the player housing at all within the context of the War Within, and midnight is still a little bit shrouded. There's new systems, new things. So we don't know specifics about midnight. We can assume that midnight is just around the corner, and we're likely going to be having more things revealed about midnight in the summer as per the roadmap. We can see right here that just between summer and autumn there's an expansion reveal, probably with more systems and everything that's coming. And as far as the roadmap goes, like I mentioned, it only goes as far as 11.2.7, which will release around autumn, around to the end of autumn. Now what does this mean? Does that mean that we'll have an 11.3 in 2026 January, February type thing, or will that be the expansion released, or close to spring be the expansion released?
I don't think they're going to go with a season 4. So I don't think there will be an 11.3. I think we'll get the pre-patch for the expansion right here. We talked about this little green area being maybe, Legion remix kind of stuff, because that's why it's turning green. I certainly think that's the case, and I think that's going to be the content we get leading up into the expansion. No season 4. Midnight. I don't think so.
We don't know. It's a little bit of speculation, but this is what it looks like so far. But in terms of player housing, this has been something that's been requested by a lot of people. We've had hints of this ever since the garrisons were introduced.
By the way, looking at this guy, did anybody think he looked like Varian? I don't know why I got King Varian like vibes from him. Some people are saying he's an elf or something. I'm not sure. But for some reason, he reminded me of Varian Rin.
We've had hints of this ever since the garrisons were introduced in Warlords of Draenor, which is 8 years ago or something like that. Crazy. And
clearly a warrior. I mean, he's wearing the warrior tier set.
Running your house with trophies of Onyxia, with your tier sets, with your achievements and all of that. That just brings a whole new layer of customizations that we can use to tie in our own little house. But what's important is that where will your house be? Do you have options to choose different houses? Will we just have Stormwind and, let's say, Orgrimmar as capitals where we can get these houses, or do we have a couple of choices? Can we get more than one? How does it work? Do we have any way of using it to showcase to our...
I've been saying this, and I still think this is the case. A revamp of Gilneas, to me, makes no sense, and the fact that it's kind of cross-faction now makes no sense to me unless it is going to be used for player housing. There is no reason to revamp a city that is completely off the map and forgotten. Nobody ever goes there unless you're planning on making it accessible for a reason. I think player housing is going to be an in-city thing. You pick the city where you want your house. Maybe that changes the theme of your house a little bit here or there. But to me, that would be the best way, and it would also keep cities relevant. I don't think it'd be a good idea to do what they did with garrisons and put it in a random forest in the middle of nowhere, because, then you're taking people out of the city. I think it's a good idea to keep the houses in the city, to keep people in the city, and keep the game feeling alive.
Friends, will there, and if that's the case,
Sam, will you ever visit Australia?
We have to have some kind of utility tied to it, because if it's just cosmetic, not a lot of people might engage with it, because we had that for garrisons, and people didn't really care about that, at least in the circles that I played with, until you had the garrison invasions, and you can actually use the garrison for some kind of utility, then, or, have it have a purpose for your friends and other people to get into your own home to figure out some things. Maybe we'll have portals there. Maybe we'll, my house has a portal to Dalaran, yours has a portal to Hellfire Peninsula or whatever, right? And we use it to get there. There's a lot to unpack here. But this is just the gist of it from what we've seen so far. Plenty of Warcraft news, and if you want to get more juices of it, make sure you catch Marcellian and I tomorrow or today, depending on when you watch this video, as we go live with our WoW Wrap-Up show on our YouTube channel and on our Twitch, and you can see us discuss all of these options in detail. By that time, we might have more information that devs have probably clarified on Twitter or in blog posts.
Yeah, we went through all that stuff
like
this morning.
And hopefully dive deeper into every little bit that has been announced. Hope you're excited for 11.1, because I want to drive my Need for Speed trike throughout Undermine right now.
Yeah, it looked awesome. Honestly, They talked about Warcraft Direct being a thing because there wasn't enough basically for a BlizzCon. I disagree, man. Yesterday, if they announced that shit at BlizzCon, all the stuff they announced yesterday, I think it would have been a decent BlizzCon. Now, I guess, the putting in the money to basically run a BlizzCon maybe wasn't worth it to them, but I thought they announced way more than I thought they were going to yesterday, and it was a fun event for sure to watch as we did yesterday on Twitch. Nice video from Marcellian.